Hi, everybody. My name is Christena Nippert, and it's a real pleasure to be here with this stellar lineup of people that we have today. My background is actually in the social sciences. My PhD is in sociology. I studied political science as an undergraduate. And while I had a really golden moment of loving programming and using quantitative methods in my life, I'm now an ethnographer and I use qualitative methods. So today what I want to give you is a little snapshot of a work in progress that I have going on, which is about camouflage. And the guiding questions for this are, what is camouflage? How do we use it in our everyday lives? What are the consequences of how we use camouflage? And how is it the same and different across the face-to-face and the digital realm environments? So I think very broadly about this. As a formal sociologist who does cognitive work, I'm looking for every example that I can possibly find in order to tease out the most fundamental principles and shared sorts of forms and relationships that we have. So far, we're up to 10 principles of camouflage. Good, you have 10 fingers. It's good to have 10 principles. We'll see if that goes farther. Not going to talk about them today, although I'm happy to at another point. What I'm looking at is there a grammar of camouflage? What are the equivalent forms that we see in face-to-face, maybe even historical, right? The Trojan horse is something that we all know about Trojan horse viruses now. And that is one of those things that correlates across realms, at least at the metaphorical level. So for example, I've been spending a lot of time looking at camouflage during World War II. And this is a lot of words, but I'm going to read a couple of them to you because this is one of those big aha moments for me. Not only does camouflage conceal or hide, but it strives to break up or alter the familiar structural lines and appearances of objects, to mislead as to what the object is or give the impression that it is something else. It prevents the enemy from determining what activity is taking place or its extent, delaying the recognition of the target and impeding engagement, causing an enemy gunner or pilot to be deceived or confused, thus preventing an attack or at least causing it to be inaccurate. This turned out to be super important for me as I was looking through that philosophy and how it manifested in different forms of camouflage in World War II. One of those is dazzled warships, which is actually something that we started in World War I. It was translated into World War II. And here we were using sort of the cubist approach to art and artists who were trying to help the war movement, who had suggested, you know, if we use this technique on our ships at sea, it might actually be way harder to figure out exactly what ship are we looking at, how fast is it going, what is the direction of it? What kind of a ship is it? Where should we aim our weapons in order to target it? Turned out to be fairly effective. How does this translate into the digital realm, you might say? Well, here we go with the 2016 presidential election and taking a look at all of the forms of digital camouflaged objects that we now know have been present in that election. Fake facts, fake news, fake people, fake ads, fake organizations, fake events, all part of this, what I'm calling digital camouflage. So fake news from things that were entirely made up to things that were only partially made up and misleading, weaving truth and fiction together. Fake people, right? A lot of people had never heard about social bots before this election and had no idea that so much of the Twitter sphere is filled with activity by social bots. We have fake ads, fake organizations, fake events, all of which were designed to look totally legitimate to people who had no idea that this could be falsified. The most effective, things that broke up, blurred the lines between true and false, between real and fake, and the exact nature of who the perpetrators and their methods and their purpose were. A kind of digital dazzle, maybe. Next thing I'll be working on is parallels between the face-to-face and digital realms in terms of detection. And what you see up here on the left, turns out in World War II, they were using colorblind soldiers to try and better detect the camouflage that was out there. The image on the your far left is with red and green spectrum sight, and the image to the right is without it. And then on the other side of the screen, my colleagues over in the complex systems group and their biometer. Thank you very much.